keeps me from my winter hell. I've got candles and candy, I can be your daddy if you only let me creep into your prison cell. Hey baby, can you tell I'm not a criminal? Your choice is seminal. I want you to stay true to what's right for you. No matter who or know what will others say, just find your way and try to stay true. Just speak low, stand in your row, try not to show this life's a show. Try not to glow way down below. Oh, it's a lot of woe, and that's not a place where you would like to go. I've got cigarettes and brandy, which could come in handy if you just help me loosen up my hand grenades fuse. Baby, don't refuse my truth, but it's up to you now to choose. I want you to stay true to what's right for you. No matter who or know what will others say, just find your way and try to stay true. I want you to stay true to what's right for you. No matter who or know what will others say, just find your way and try to stay true, 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 true,
Hi, you guys. How are you? It's good to see everybody. How's everybody doing? How did your Monday go? I hope it went well. Let me say hello. Hey, Oz. Hey, Karen. Hey, Boho. Good to see you. Hey, Tracy. Hey, Flower Girl. Oh, Petunia. Hey, Petunia. Hey, Preschool Granny. Hey, TK in Texas. Good to see you. Hey, Neat. All right, Neat can't be in the chat, you guys. She's listening, but she can't chat. So you guys are the welcome wagon. Make sure to welcome all the new people in here. All right, so let's get it started because I know this is what you guys came to hear about. First of all, I want to apologize for being late because my I don't know what happened. Like we were just sitting watching TV, and then all of a sudden the lights all flickered or whatever. So I guess the power went out for just long enough to knock the internet out. So then I had to wait for it to restart so I could come live, blah, 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 blah. So sorry about being late, you guys. It's my bad. I don't like being late. All right. So we're going to talk about Diane Downs. We're going to go back from the beginning of it all and then go through and we're going to go over her 2020 parole hearing, which, y'all, if you have not seen the 2020 parole hearing, that is where the members level kookaloos comes from. It comes from that parole hearing. It's a term that Diane Down uses. So to describe other people. Okay. So we're going to go through it all. And then we will go to all the way through to her current 2025 hearing that she just had back in October, at the end of October. So we're going to talk about it all. Tonight we're going to listen to the interrogation tapes that were made in the hospital room May 21st of 1983. So we're going to hear what she said about it then. We're going to hear how her story started. I found a long time ago, back when I first talked about her 2020 parole hearing, I found this really cool channel called Diane Downs TV. I'm going to hold on just a second. I want to give you guys the channel, so let me just make sure that I get it for you guys before I go any further. All right. So I found this really cool channel who has just like an incredible amount of just stuff you can't get anymore. So I want to give this, I want to put the channel in the chat here because that's where these interrogation tapes come from. I have followed this channel for a very, very long time. That's why when somebody said it in chat yesterday, I was like, oh yeah, I know about that channel. It's a fantastic channel. So go over there and give it a subscription, subscribe to it. They do great work. We're not going to play, obviously, everything from their channel. That would be wrong. But we are going to play a lot from their not a lot, but a few things, because they have some really interesting stuff that it's like, from back in the 80s. That kind of stuff is, it's unfortunately not easy to find anymore. All right. So this tape comes from when she was in the hospital. So what happened was this happened in Springfield, Oregon in 1983. So Diane Downs arrives at the drop-off area for the emergency room at the local hospital. Okay. And she's, got her arm bandaged. She's saying that, her kids have been shot, that this guy tried to steal their car because they were, this was like late at night, like 10, 11 o'clock at night. Okay. When she's out, just taking a drive with the kids. So she's got her 3 kids in the car, Christie, who was 8, Cheryl, who was 7, and Danny, who was 3. Okay. Cheryl, they could not revive. She succumbed to her injuries and she died. Danny was paralyzed from the waist down. And Christie survived, had a stroke, had to go through intensive physical therapy, had to learn to talk again, all of the things. She ended up testifying against her mother at the trial. Ann Rule wrote a book about Diane Downs, and the book is what the movie Small Sacrifices with Farrah Fawcett is based on. They did change a few things, like they changed the married guy's name from, I just remember his last name is Knickerbocker. I always thought that was funny. I think it's Robert Knickerbocker, to Lou. But by and large, it's pretty accurate, including the whole scene with the Duran Duran song "Hungry Like the Wolf" playing. That happened. All of that happened. So anyway, her story just did not have the ring of truth. She was acting odd. And so, pretty much right away, she was getting the side eye. But it took almost, a year for her to be actually charged. So we're going to listen to this interrogation. It comes from it happened on May 21st, 1983. This is like right after it happened. So, all right, here we go.
Surprise, surprise.
This is Detective Tracy, Wayne County Sheriff's Office, and present in the room is Detective Welch, and did you say your name?
Elizabeth Downs.
What's your full name?
Elizabeth Diane Downs.
What's your date of birth?
August 7th, 1955.
And what's your address?
1352 Q Street in Springfield.
Okay. Telephone number?
726-9667.
The date today is May the 21st. The time is approximately 14:04 hours. And this conversation has to do with case 83-3268. Okay, we don't have to be quite so formal now. I just want that introduction. You go by Diane. You said you have an aversion to tape recorders anyhow,
Yes,
right?
I do.
Okay. Well, the reason we're taking this is because when we took the original notes in the emergency room there, I don't know that I got everything that you had to say, because you do talk quickly and have a lot to say, and it makes it much easier doing it this way. Diane, for the purpose of the tape recorder, Diane's in a hospital bed, room 319, has a fractured,
Shattered.
Shattered. Is it the radio?
Radius, yeah, and
Oh.
medical damage.
Didn't affect the owner, the big.
The radius is the big one. We were wrong.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
I thought it was.
I did too.
Okay, so clearly right off the bat, things are not right here. I mean, she's just way too chipper. She's lost a child. Okay, her her 7-year-old daughter is dead, and she is just just chilling in the hospital room and acting like everything is peachy keen jelly bean. It's so weird. Even now, like all these years later, listening to her talk like this is just it's so odd.
Okay, to the left arm. I don't know. Are you ready to go through, try to recall all these events again?
Sure.
Okay. Why don't you take from the top? I guess we could start back on the 19th. Let's
Was
do
that
it there.
Thursday?
Right. When you got up and go that.
From the beginning of the
From the
day?
beginning of the day.
Okay. I got up at 5:15, took a shower, fixed my face, got the kids up at 5:45, and they got ready and went to Grandma's house at 6:15. And
Okay. Just want to make sure it's going.
Okay. I went to Grandma's house at 6:15. I'd leave the kids there so I can go to work. I leave at 6:30 to get to work by 7. The kids have breakfast there, and the girls walk to school, and she watches Danny all day. And I left at 6:30, went to work. I had a cake that day. I'd made a bundt cake the night before for the guys at work, and I cut a piece for the kids and my parents and left it there that morning.
And already we are giving details that have nothing to do with anything. These are all irrelevant details that are indications that somebody is lying. When they put in details that aren't necessary. Nobody cares that you made a bundt cake, Diane.
And I got the cake to work, and one of the guys said, well, it looks like the piranhas already got to it. And they were referring to my kids, and I said, yeah. And so I did my work that day, did my job. We had the cake at break and all that. And then I got off at 3:30, Not quite 3:30. I got off a little bit earlier, but I hung around and talked to the guys for a while. And then I left the office at 3:30 and got to my parents' house. And sat around and talked to my mom for a while. We got company today. More flowers. Thank you.
Beautiful.
I'll take the cards. We can set them over there. Thank you very much. So.
Now, keep in mind, you guys, that she has said that she was out driving with her kids because that's the kind of thing they like to do. Okay. They were out driving and this guy's on the side of the road and he flags them down and she was going to give him a ride. And then he ends up wanting to take the car. So she chunks the keys and he shoots her and shoots the kids. Okay. He's still at large. She is not in any way, shape, or form in a hurry to get this description, to say what happened. Like you would think she would be going through the monotonous part of the day that has nothing to do with what happened that evening fairly quickly so she could get to it so that they could be on the lookout and going and getting this guy, right? No, not Diane. She's going to be interrupted with flowers, and then she's going to direct hospital staff that put the flowers down. I'll take the card. Like she's a celebrity. I can't. All right, here we go.
I got to my parents' house, and I think we sat around and talked to my mom for a while. And Cheryl went out and cut me a couple roses, and she cut one for Christie too. And then we left. We didn't have supper with my parents that night. We went home because my mom and dad were going someplace, I think, some kind of meeting. So we went home, and Cheryl went over, and that day she had asked, I'd finally consented to let her keeping a cat, which she wanted to get from the neighbor lady. And so she went over and got the cat, and the lady brought over the litter box and all that stuff, and told me what she ate and all that good stuff. And then we did all that, and I talked to his girlfriend from back home, told her about all the stuff we've been doing, how we usually go to Hendricks Park, or the river at least every day, and that we were going out to see a girlfriend. Well, that day I had found a newspaper clipping, well, a couple days earlier I found a newspaper clipping in the paper about this adopt-a-horse thing. So you could adopt horses, and it was going to be Saturday and Sunday, so I wanted to get it out to her before then, because she wanted to adopt a horse.
And pull it out of so you can read it?
Sure. I was just going to wait, but yeah, just, yeah. Oh, how nice. From Phil and Brandy King. He was one of my supervisors. That's pretty nice. So, okay, then, so I took the newspaper clipping, and the kids were out playing, and I finished talking on the phone, finished cleaning house and doing the dishes and all that stuff, and we took off about 9 o'clock or 9:15 or something like that. I don't know what time it was. It was still light. And we went out there. She lives out in Marcola on Sunderman Road, and we went out there, and I knocked on the door and told her about the clipping, and she says, oh, well, have I got a surprise for you? Come on out. So we went out there. She already had a horse. She'd just gotten it a couple days earlier. Same day I found the newspaper article, as a matter of fact. And so she went ahead and took the paper, I guess. They considered still adopting a horse, but anyway, she took it. But we stayed, and the kids fed the horse grass and pet the horse and stuff like that, and then we left. And we went back out Sunderman Road, and like I said, we like to just cruise around and see stuff. We're new to the area, and the kids love the scenery and the trees, and they like to watch the rapids and the water of the river and stuff like that. We just liked enjoying stuff like that. So we just went out cruising around, and we drove around, and I ended up going down this other road, this off road, which is called Old Mohawk Road or something like that. So I just took off down there. And got down a little ways, and there was a guy standing in the road waving his arm. He was not like on the white line, but he was in the center of my lane. So I stopped and got out and asked him what was the problem. And because it looked like he needed something, he was frantic. And so he came over to where I was and he said, "I want your car." And I said, "You gotta be kidding. I mean, how many people really do that in real life? They don't." And he pushed me back and he fired into the car so many times.
Now, isn't this interesting? So she's got all this detail, right, about all the monotonous things that have absolutely nothing to do with what ended up happening that night, right? And are not going to in any way, shape, or form help the investigators. Hold on, I have to cough and I don't want to cough in y'all's ear. Hold on. Sorry about that. That is in no way, shape, or form going to help investigators locate this man, right? But now she's hurrying through. It's all very, very quick. And she leaked right here. All right, hold on. Let's play it again.
Are you kidding? I mean, how many people really do that in real life? They don't.
How many people do that in real life? They don't. I mean, yes, carjackings happened, but but I mean, for the love of Pete, if that is not a leak, I don't know what is, because that didn't happen at all, Diane Downs. All right, I'm going to go back just so you guys can hear the whole thing. All right.
Kidding. I mean, how many people really do that in real life? They don't. And he pushed me back and he fired into the car so many times. God, it was horrible. And my little girl raised up in the back seat. She's the only one that raised up. And
Which one is that?
That's Christie. She's the one that's still here. And she raised up and she had such a look of terror or confusion or something. I don't know. There was just a look I'll never forget that I can't describe. And then she fell back on the seat and she grabbed at her chest. And God, it was just so that, and then he turned to me and he goes, "I want your car."
I'm pretty sure the look that she gave you was betrayal. I'm sure it was she was confused, and the fact that her mom is standing there with a gun pointed at her, I'm sure she was confused. I'm sure she was shocked. I'm sure she was scared. And I think when you fired on her, I think that's when the look of "how could you do that to me" came across her face. Absolute ridiculousness.
And I was just aghast. I didn't know. I mean, I had to do something, so I faked throwing the keys to distract him because he was a little bit bigger than me, not a whole lot, but a little bit. And I knew I could beat him up in a fist fight, and he had a gun anyway. And I figured if I could distract him, if I could just draw his attention away, I could shove him and get the hell out of there. Sorry about my language recorder.
That's all right. That's all right.
And so I kicked him with my knee sort of and shoved him. And, well, as he was swinging around, when I threw the keys, he swung around and he shot a couple times. And one of them caught me in the arm. And it didn't even hurt. It felt like somebody had squeezed me, and that's all. It didn't even hurt. But I knew I'd probably been hit. At least physically I was hit. Whether he hit me with a bullet or hit me with the gun, I was hit somehow. And I shoved him, and I jumped in the car, and we took off. I put the key in the ignition and took off. And if he fired after me, I have no idea, because Chrissy was laying in the back seat just choking on her own blood. And I kept telling her to roll over on her stomach so that she was drowning. She was just drowning at her. God. Cheryl was on the floor not making a movement or a sound, and Danny was in the back seat just crying so soft. Oh, Mom. So soft. And I just kept telling her, I kept saying how much I loved him. I told him, "Don't worry, we'll get away." I said, "We got hurt, but we're going to be okay." I kept telling Chrissy to roll over on her stomach, and I was driving as fast as I could. And Danny kept moaning, and
Okay, this right here is one of a series of lies. Okay, there was somebody who came up behind her on that road. and they testified and said that she was driving so slow they weren't even out of first gear, and that they ended up like passing her because she was driving so slowly. She wasn't in a hurry. She absolutely wasn't in a hurry. And I don't know how she can recall this, especially Cheryl, because Cheryl didn't make it. And there are no tears. She's not upset at all. This is the most, it's chilling because it's so matter of fact.
Couldn't stop. If I'd stopped to roll Christie over on her stomach, she would have just in a panic rolled back, and I'd have lost 5 seconds. And 5 seconds is a lot, and I couldn't stop it. So I just kept going. And we got out to the end of the road, and we got out on the Mohawk, that bridge out there on
Marcola?
Mohawk. Yeah. We got out on Marcola Road, and the bridge that goes over the McKenzie, and Christie stopped choking. And I knew that meant her lungs weren't working anymore. She wasn't breathing. I just kept saying, God, do it best. If they gotta die, let them die, but don't let them suffer. And I kept driving, kept driving. We got to the hospital.
Who in the actual F just thinks that? What human? I'm not even talking about a parent. What parent is thinking, if they got to die, let them die, but just don't let them suffer? No parent, no person thinks that at all. Hey, Sweet Black 1231. Just to let you know, yes, we are going to go over her probation hearing, both probation hearings, 2020 and 2025. So we are going to get through all of it. We're going to go over all of it. And I think it's important just because it's been a long time since I've heard the 2020 probation hearing, and the board. The only person on the board in the 2025 hearing, there's only one person who was also on the board during her 2020 hearing. And it's just interesting. I want to hear if she's changed anything up. Like if she sat back and was like, you know what, I really messed up the 2020 parole hearing. Did I say probation? I feel like I keep saying probation when I mean parole. The parole board. I feel like, I wonder if she sat back and was like, I really messed up that parole hearing. Let me regroup and try to do a little bit better. And because I've been waiting. So when we do get to the 2025 one, I've only listened to a tiny bit of it, like maybe 45 minutes of it. And that's it. So when we get there, it's going to be me basically hearing it for the first time. Oh, you're welcome. Did you say probation? I feel like I keep saying probation when I mean parole. So anyway, yeah, we're going to go through all of it. I wanted you guys to hear, because it's been so long. I wanted you guys to be able to hear what she said and how she said it. All right, here we go.
My arm was sort of starting to hurt a little bit, and I grabbed a towel and wrapped it around. I don't know what. The towel was maybe beside me. I don't know where it was exactly. We had been to the beach the weekend before, and it was a beach towel. It was the only one that got left in the car.
Okay, when did you wrap that towel around?
When I was driving, because it was starting to throb.
How far down the road?
I don't know. I don't know.
Down to the bridge?
It may have been at the bridge where I had to stop for a stop sign. I don't recall, honestly, I don't know.
You didn't stop before then?
No, I didn't. I just kept going until I got to the end of the road. I didn't stop at all. Which is ridiculous because he was on foot. He couldn't catch us, but I just didn't stop. But I had to stop because there were cars coming and I didn't want them to hit us. That's all we needed was that a car wreck when Christie's already suffocating there. So
So really,
At some point, I grabbed the towel and wrapped it around the arm.
but what I mean is that that's about the only stop you had to make. Or did you have to stop for signals?
I had to stop at 2 stoplights. I mean,
did you go on the freeway down that
no,
road, or out Marcola Road? So
Marcola, just followed the Marcola Road out to the Mohawk.
Did you?
And there was a stoplight there, but it was green, so we went on through it, and then we had to stop at one stoplight on the way here. So maybe it didn't take us that long to get here. It just seemed like it took forever because she wasn't breathing anymore. It just seemed like it took forever. So maybe it didn't take that long. But anyway, so I got to the hospital. I laid on the horn because I wanted to grab my kids up and run in, but I couldn't. My arm was starting to hurt. So I laid on the horn. Some lady came out very indignant and flustered. How could somebody be doing such a thing in a hospital zone? And I told her to get the hell in there and get somebody out here to get my kids and call the cops.
So here it is. You've got 3 injured children. Christie is the one in the back seat you're saying is suffocating, but you have time to remember and talk a little smack and say that the lady at the hospital was indignant and rude. Are you kidding me? This is why she got the side eye immediately, because this is poppycock. It doesn't even sound, it has like no ring of truth to it at all. Chicken Shite, thank you so much for being a member for 14 months, babe. I appreciate it so much. Thank you.
And she said, she just looked at me, and so I started to go in the hospital. I picked my arm up, it was hanging, I picked it up. I went in the hospital and I said, somebody go out there and get my kids out of the car, they've been shot. And they did, they went out, and I went back out there, and they missed Cheryl. She was on the floorboard, and I said, there's another one on the front floorboard, she's under a sweater. And so somebody, a nurse or somebody, went out and picked her up. She's the one that died. And I went back in. I don't think they even knew that my arm was hurt, because it was all wrapped up. I was holding it, and they probably just thought I was holding myself, you know.
So cavalier. She's the one that died. Like, I'm more emotional about the child that died than she is. And this is her mother. It's just disgusting. I have so much disdain for Diane Downs. It's ridiculous. She's so gross. All right, here we go.
Pain. And I told the lady, call the cops right away. And she called a couple other people first, but I kept sitting there saying, call them. So finally she did. And she reported that there were 3 children that were shot. And then I finally told her, and I've been shot too. And she said, oh, okay. And so they took the kids in, and I went into the emergency room where they were working on them. Christie was just so... Christie and Cheryl both, they were yellow. You know, have you seen a dead person?
Oh, lots of them.
That's what I figured you probably had.
Lots.
But they looked dead. I saw a man a few months ago that hung himself. It was a neighbor. And he hung himself because of money problems or something. And I could see he was dead, and his wife just kept saying, John, you can't be dead. And she kept trying to revive him, and I didn't have the heart to say, hey, Mary, he's dead. But I could see he was dead, his eyes and his color, and his tongue was all swollen. He was dead. And that's just how Chris and Cheryl looked. Just dead. I was devastated. It made me just sick, and Danny just kept crying, and I knew that was hope. I knew as long as he kept making a sound, he was okay. But when he was in the car, as soon as we got to the hospital, I laid on the horn and I got out, and I could see he was shot right through the middle of the back, and I just knew he'd been hit in the spine, but they said his legs broke, so he wasn't paralyzed or anything. I was just so afraid of that. So anyway, in the emergency room, they were taking care of the kids, and they were taking care of me pretty much, but I was mostly just answering questions, telling everybody. I don't even remember everybody's name, but everybody that was asking anything, I was trying to give an answer to. And then they wanted me to go back out to the scene and try to point out exactly where we were. And so I said, yeah, fine. And they said, we want you to know that it's dangerous if you go out, you know, something could happen, you know, with my arm, because my arm hadn't been tended to at all. And I said, let's just go. I want, you know, the sooner I show you where it's at, the sooner I can get fixed and the better I'll feel. The longer we wait, the further away.
Once again, bring in it back to herself. Not the sooner that we get out there, I can show you what happened. I can tell you where this guy was, what he looked like. The sooner you can get him and get him off the street. No, 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 no. I need my arm tended to. Are you, you see, like, I know that there isn't a manual, okay, for how somebody is quote unquote supposed to act, okay, because everybody processes things differently, everybody grieves differently. But even if you take away the fact that she's not crying, right? Okay, let's just for a hot second. And by the way, hey Bumblebee, good to see you. Hey Kelly, good to see you. Let's just pretend for a second, right? Let's just say, okay, you know, they've probably got her on pain meds. Maybe that's why she's having a hard time being emotional. Okay. All right. We'll take away the crying. We're not gonna take points out of the interview portion. We're not gonna deduct points because she's not crying. Okay, fine. But none of this is about getting the person who shot her children. Remember, we're going to fast forward just briefly here to the 2020 interview or 2020 parole hearing. Okay. One of the things that she was asked about in that parole hearing was her 1987 escape. Okay. Because she did. She escaped briefly for, I don't know, 3-4 days, something like that. It wasn't very long. They caught her. That's a whole other story, but we'll save that for later. Anywho, so the whole reason she said that she escaped in the first place was because she was so disgusted at the fact that she had been convicted and there was some killer out on the loose, just roaming free to kill again, that she escaped jail to go find him. Here she is talking about, well, you know, I think I'm mostly worried about my own arm. My own arm. I mean, we've heard stories of moms lifting vehicles off of their children. Moms who are gravely injured, right? Saving their children, protecting their children. She's disgusting. Yes, she does, Lisa. Lisa says she has so many vocal similarities to Sarah Boone, the sighs, the groans, the dramatic words to express emotion without any emotion behind it. I was aghast. Blink, blink, blink. You're right. Her effect is flat. Hey T says, I know a lady that looks like Diane Downs and her name is Diane. I told her she looks like her. So now she messes with me all the time. Remember how years ago they did a side by side of Diane Downs and Janelle from Teen Mom and how they looked the same? It was the eyebrows for me. That's what really did it. All right, here we go.
So I knew they were doing the best they could for my kids. They told me that Cheryl was in bad shape and probably might not make it. And I said, okay. So then they wrapped my arm up with something. Oh, they put it on a metal splint thing, wrapped it up with gauze, and I went out with the officer, somebody, detective, I don't know who it was. I went with somebody and my dad. And I went out and showed them as close as I could to where we stopped. I also alerted them to the fact that there was a yellow car in the road because I had to go around it. It wasn't really off the road in the dirt. It was sort of half on, half off. And I said, wait a minute, there was a car back there. And he said, where? And I said, right back there. It was an old yellow kind of car, a medium-sized car. It's not like the car that we were driving, which to me seemed big. But it was bigger than my car. You see my car, it's a little Nissan. Yes. Bigger than that, but it was smaller than him. So it's a medium-sized car, and it was yellow, an icky old yellow car. And it was an older car. And it had been there, and it wasn't there now. And so I told him that. And I said, now, I don't know if it's his car. It could just be maybe some kids were parking there. Maybe they were necking. Who knows?
You say a icky old car is like it's oxidized, or is it a pale yellow?
Like a pale yellow.
Okay. Was it a ratty looking car? Or, you know what we call ratty cars? And eat up,
Like dented.
dented and not well taken care of.
It was not well taken care of, but it wasn't really dented up either from what I could see. I didn't notice it. I mean, who really looks at a car on the road? It was just an older looking car. It didn't look like it had been in any major wreck or anything.
If it had a plate from out of state on it, do you think you would have?
No, I wouldn't have noticed it because I'm from out of state. And
Oh.
for all I know, everything is from out of state up here. All the Oregon plates still look strange to me. I still have Arizona plates on my car.
Sorry.
So isn't that strange for me to see us? And where I come from, everybody does. In Arizona, snowbirds. So I would not have noticed the plate. So my dad asked me the same thing. He asked if there was a different state. Like, there's a lot of Washington plates down here. And I just don't recall. I didn't look. And so...
Let's see, Diane, like total, how many times was she pregnant altogether? Are you talking about the baby, the pregnancy that she had while she was on trial and then delivered like right after she was convicted? Because there was just the one. I think she had, of course, she had the 3 kids, and there was a surrogacy, and then there was the baby that she was pregnant with while she was on trial. So 5 altogether, Alicia?
Anyway, I said, well, the car was right back there. I told him as close as I could to where I thought the car was parked. And there was a house out there, and it was right past the house, just before the trees. That's where the car was. And as we got past that, just a little ways, when it started curving like that, that's where the guy was. And I don't know if he was walking away or walking to me, because when I got there, he was already standing in the road flagging with his hand. And so I don't know which way he was walking at all. And so I told him all that, and then...
What would you describe him again?
Yeah. Okay, he's about 5'9", and I assume that because my ex-husband is about 5'8" or 5'9", and he's just about that height.
Okay. So Kelly wants to know who fathered them all. So her 3 children that she murdered and attempted to murder are all by her ex-husband, which is where the name Downs comes from. Okay. Then there was a surrogate. She was a surrogate for somebody. So that's obviously private. And then there is the pregnancy that occurred in the interim between when the kids were murdered and attempted to be murdered and going to trial. And I don't think anybody actually knows who that baby's father is. I feel like she did tell. I'll look into it for you guys. But she's such a lying liar face who tells lies that I'm not sure that we would, we could believe anything that comes out of her mouth. So, all right, here we go.
I'm real bad with heights and measurements, I want you to know that. But he's about 5'9". He was medium build, but pushing towards being a little bit heavy. So we assume probably 150 to 170. And because my ex-husband is about 145, and he was heavier than Steve. He had darkish hair, but not black. It was like a brown, or dark brown, whatever. His face was kind of stubbly. Not like a beard. Not like he had a beard, but like he hadn't shaved in a couple of days or so. His hair was kind of shaggy looking, like it had been cut in a shag, but not brushed out properly. His voice it wasn't high, it wasn't low, it was just a voice, no accents, no lisps. Nothing that would distinguish him outwardly from anybody else. He was wearing a t-shirt that was a light color, but it wasn't pure white. It wasn't something that would glow in the dark type. So I don't know if it was dirty or if it was a pastel or what, like maybe a beige, I don't know. And he had a Levi jacket on and a pair of blue jeans.
Were those the old faded out type, or were they newer looking?
No, they were just older. Not, I think, did you see the Levi's I was wearing?
Yes.
They had holes in them and stuff. I mean, I like old comfortable. They weren't quite that comfortable. They weren't holy or anything like that, but they were not real brand new.
Medium blue then,
Yeah.
not bright. You know how they are when they're
Yeah.
brand new.
No, they weren't brand new. Okay, let's see what else. That describes him pretty well. Okay, so back to the scene. I showed them where everything was. And the guy that I was with, we drove to a couple of houses and looked around. My dad noticed we drove up in one yard. And my dad is a pretty observant person. He tries to watch everything. And when we drove up in somebody's yard, there was a light on upstairs. And when we pulled up in the yard, it went off. And my dad mentioned it. Oh no, the policeman mentioned it. Wasn't there a light on up there before? And my dad said, yeah, there was.
Okay, so Kelly wants to know where is that baby? And Coffee and Skeleton says, I believe she connected with the surrogate child when the child was over 18. They do not speak now. That is a very messed up story. So here is what had happened. Okay. So this young lady, is with a group of friends, and they invite her over to their house to watch a movie. All right. They put in the movie Small Sacrifices. And that is how she learned, because apparently people in the town knew who her biological mother was. And this is her story. So she says, this is how she found out that her mother was Diane Downs. And there was communication, I think, before she was 18, but it was like supervised. But Diane did a real number on the baby that ended up being her daughter that ended up being adopted. She made all kinds of wild and crazy, outlandish, just all manner of I don't know another way to say it, just bullshit. She really screwed with this kid's head. And no, I don't think she's ever connected with a surrogate child. She connected with the daughter that she gave up for adoption. The surrogate was closed. I don't think that anybody knows, including Diane, about where with the surrogate. The daughter that she had while she got pregnant with after the kids were murdered and attempted to be murdered. And while she was on trial, she was pregnant while she was on trial. And that child she gave up for adoption. That is the child who told her, who came forward years later and did an interview with 2020. And I do think she also interviewed with Oprah. But yeah, that is the daughter that she just messed with her head. Diane Downs is not a well woman. And she's just absolutely everybody in Diane's life is nothing but a means to an end. She just uses people. And, that's what she did with this girl who, all she wanted to know, she just wanted to understand who her mom was, where she came from. She wanted to know about her half siblings, and Diane took that opportunity to make it about herself. And she just screwed with that kid's head.
So my dad kept watching the window where the policeman was, or the detective, whoever he was talking on his little phone, and I was sitting there just watching everything. And the reason we were there is because there were horses out in the field. And I never thought of this, but he says, I asked him how many dogs were going to be out looking, because I only saw one dog, and I just didn't think a dog could sniff very far, one dog. And he says, well, there's horses here. And I says, don't tell me a horse can sniff out a person. He goes, no, but a horse, if he tried to sneak through the field, a horse would be spooked. Whereas maybe we couldn't see him, the horse would sense him, which made a lot of sense. So that's why we were there, to see if the horses were spooked, and which they weren't. And so my dad said, hey, that light's back on. And I looked up there, and it was. And I just said, that's it. I ducked down in the seat. I said, one shot's enough. I'm not being anybody's fair target anymore. So I slunched down in the seat, and the light went off again. And we left. To me, that's kind of crazy. I would have, if I was a policeman, I think I would have at least knocked on the door, because he lived out there and those were his friends anyway. I'd have knocked and said, at least, are you guys, I mean, sure, husbands and wives turn the lights on an awful lot. I used to. After you finish fooling around or whatever, you get cleaned up. So maybe that was it. But I don't think anybody feels like a fool knocking on a door if there's something serious. But he didn't. He said he'd come back later and check it out. So maybe he'd do that.
He probably did. I think
He wanted
maybe he wanted to get you back to the hospital.
He did, because we were on our way, and then he wanted to stop and see the horses. Because I told him, hey, I've told you all I can out here, and my arm is really starting to hurt. And so, yeah, he took me up to
Belong to 322, belong.
This is my time. So he took me up to where you were, up by the bridge. And then I went with you, and then he went back. So maybe at that time he did check it out. I'm sure he must have, because he lives in that area, he said, and those were his neighbors, so I'm sure he probably did. But, you know, I went back to the hospital, and I tried to sneak in and see my kids, and they stopped me. So, yeah.
She did?
Thank you, yes, I do. Thank you very much. And so, I had to sit down. They came and told me that, no bad habits like that around. You smoke but don't chew gum. And they came, and after this, everything happened so fast and so many things.
Well, we sat down and had a lot of questions to ask you,
Okay.
for sure.
Oh yeah, we talked, but we went down and took x-rays, and we were talking there also. They did some tests on me. Then we went, after x-rays, we went back to an examination room. They wanted to see if I'd been hit anyplace else. And while we were in there, they told me that Christie had died. And then I was really confused, because the way they had described it before, I knew how my kids were on the tables. Christie was here, Diane was here, and Cheryl was here. And they said the little girl on this table, Cheryl's table, was not making it. And so when they told me that Christie had died, I was crushed, because as I said, Christie's my favorite, but I was confused too, because Christie wasn't the one they said wasn't making it, but I sort of accepted it, because Christie was the one that quit choking in the car. She was the one that was suffocating, and I could believe that she was dead. I kept saying, I want to see him, because I wanted to see who the hell was dead. Who was it? You want to know who to mourn for, who you're supposed to cry for. And they kept saying, it was Christie. And I said, okay. I was distraught. And then somebody else came in, a doctor or somebody came in and said, the preacher, pastor or whatever, the chaplain, came in and said that Cheryl had passed on. And I'm going, who is it? And he says, well, your father identified it as Cheryl. So then I knew that, because I said, that does it. You take me, I want to see who is alive. I don't want to see who's dead. I want to see who's alive. And he says, well, your father's already identified the dead girl as Cheryl. So then I knew that my dad knows my kids. And I figured, okay, now I know who it really was. And I can believe it, because Cheryl didn't make a sound or a movement the whole time we were driving. So they said that she was dead when she got there, and they just never could bring her back. So that's why they said she wasn't going to make it, because they couldn't bring her back at all. I know she didn't suffer at least, and that's good, because now it's the rest of us. We're going on, and I've got to go home and tell Chris and Cheryl, and Chris and Danny, that Cheryl's not here. And Chris, my God, I don't know how long she's going to be here. She looks so bad, but they say she's going to be okay. And they say that, I was talking to my brother, he works in a hospital, and his girlfriend is a recovery nurse or something like that. I don't know, she does something. And so she sees it all the time, and she says if Christie's answering questions, whether they're conscious or subconscious, if she's aware of enough that she's shaking her head or her head yes or no, then she's okay. Her mind is okay, which is great. Yeah, because she's so smart. She's almost a genius. She's just super, super smart. And it would just be devastating to think that she wouldn't be that way again. But anyway, so I did. The first time I finally knew for a fact that it was really Cheryl that was gone was last, what night did I come here? Thursday. Wednesday morning, whenever they finally brought me to my room, they had told me before they took me to my room that I could see the kids, and I made them keep that promise.
Friday.
Yeah, early Friday, about 4 o'clock or something. And I got to see Christie, then I knew for sure that it was Sherry that was gone. And my parents, I think my parents came in to see me. I don't remember when it was, but my mom was asking me Cheryl's favorite color. She's going to buy a dress. We're going to have a small service for her, and she wanted to buy Cheryl a new dress. Cheryl loved new dresses. And so I told her red, but I've been thinking I want it to be white. I mean, she's such a good kid. It should be white. She's an angel now, so. Anyway, sorry. Anyway, then after that, I've just been going through the motions every day. You talk to people, you talk to old friends, and it takes your mind off of everything.
Okay. Let's go back to the day this happened. Did you have anything to drink that day?
No, I didn't.
Alcohol?
I like whiskey, but I haven't had any whiskey. And the last time I went to see Nick was a month ago, I think, almost a month ago. I don't know, it's in my diary somewhere, but it's at least 3 weeks ago. And I got real drunk that time. I spent the evening at my ex-husband's house and we don't get along, so I had a lot to drink.
How long ago was that?
About 3 weeks
3 weeks ago.
And that was
You
in
went
Arizona.
back to Arizona?
Yeah, I was in
Okay.
Arizona when I did that.
But
But I
that
came
day,
back, no, I haven't had anything to drink in 3 weeks.
were you on any kind of drugs or medication
No.
or anything like that at the
No.
time? Okay.
I have smoked pot a few times in my life, but it's also been quite a while since I've done that. Lately, the kids and I have been so into doing things that I haven't. The reason that I drink and the reason that I on occasion smoke is when I feel lonely and depressed. And I guess that's the case with most people, but that's why I would do it. And so I never really drank when the kids were around at all. It was like on Friday night when Mom would take the kids and I'd be alone in the house sitting and thinking and wondering why the hell Nick isn't here or whatever, because he had promised we were going to be mates and we were going to raise the kids and everything was going to be just fine. And I couldn't understand why all that was different, and that's when I would drink. It's like Friday nights when the kids were going on, because I'm a real conscientious mother, and I despise people that are lax in raising their kids, that can allow themselves to get drunk when their kids are around, because you can't tell when an emergency is going to arise, and the kid will need care, and you aren't able to do it. To me, that's very immature. So I didn't do that around my kids. So, like I said, the kids and I for the past few weeks have just been hanging out and doing stuff together, and I haven't had a time to really do it or even want to do it. I got to the point that even in my book I told Nick, I think I love the kids even more than you. And
What about that area out there? How many times have you driven out?
I've never been out there. I've been out to Marcola once. I went to Heather's house once. No.
Okay. I didn't want to interrupt this diatribe of hers. That's just, there's so many, many things. First of all, let's just start with she was so upset learning incorrectly initially, right? That it was Christie who had died, not Cheryl. And that in and of itself is just thrown completely off. I don't know another way to put it. It's just wrong. And then, she goes through all the rigmarole, as it were, of her finally getting the correct identification. And the only thing that she can say about her daughter, who was 7 years old when her mother shot her and killed her, was that she loved new dresses. And she's trying to cry. She's making the sounds I wish we could see, but obviously back then they didn't, they didn't normally do it that way. But I would bet money that she's not actually crying. It's just I've her affect is so flat talking about her children that according to her, some guy on the side of the road, a road that she had never been down, maybe once or twice, she'd never been down before, just out driving around, just, cruising, as she put it, late at night. And she stops for a guy. Okay, this is 1983. She's a single mom now. She mentions the guy. This would later become the motive, what the prosecution used as motive for the crime. The man that she was in love with was married, and he wasn't going to leave his wife, and he also didn't want children. And so that became the motive, that she did it for a guy because he didn't want children. So she thought that she would be childless, and then he would leave his wife and everything would, work out just fine, and everybody would live happily ever after. She's disgusting. And, everybody remembers Susan Smith and why Susan Smith did what she did to her little boys. It was also for a man, but Diane Downs was the first. And she just blamed it on some random dude that doesn't even exist. No, Bumblebee, none of her children have any contact with her at all. No. In fact, we'll get into that later, but none of her children have any contact with her. No. Not that she hasn't tried. She has tried. That's going to come up in the 2020 parole hearing that we're going to hear. All right, so here we go.
Once I went out there with her and my dad the first day that I got to Oregon to take her home, and it was at night, and I didn't know the area, and I didn't even know where we were. The second time I went was about 3 weeks ago. I drove straight out there and talked to Heather. She didn't have a phone, and I talked to her about coming into work, and then I came back. And,
so that was the third trip you...
So that was the third trip, yeah. And we took a different way. We took the back way this time.
We took the back way. If you've never been out there, how do you know it's the back way? Kelly says, Bindi, it's 2025. Don't slut shame her. Listen, I ain't. I'm not. Like, sleep with whoever you want. As long as you're, what two consenting adults do in the privacy of their bedroom is not my business, and I don't care. But when you murder your children to be with a man because he doesn't want children, so you murder them, that's something altogether different. Yes, Allie, I will play her parole hearing. I just wanted people, it's been a really long time and since the crime happened, and her 2020 parole hearing is so crazy town and I haven't heard all of her 2025 one, but her 2020 parole hearing is so whacked that I want people to hear what she said, what her story was in the beginning. And, all of it. So I just wanted to do like a rundown before we got to both parole hearings. All right, here we go.
How do you describe the back way?
Sunderman Road goes like this. And I can never remember the name Sunderman until I see it.
It goes off at the bridge there and
it curves back.
Back around onto the main highway.
Right.
How did you go in?
Okay, the first time I went all the way up Marcola just before the bridge. and then you turn, and the name is Sunderman. And I can like I said, I can never remember the name until I see it on the post, and then I know that that's the turning post. Well, when we were coming up, I knew that we were kind of close, but it was starting to get kind of dusky out, and so I wasn't real sure of the trees and the sites, the land areas. So I wasn't positive where to turn, and I knew there was supposed to be a bridge, but I wasn't sure where. And then all of a sudden I saw the word Sunderman. I said, well, that's it. So I turned, and I'm going, you guys, this isn't the road. And they're going, well, let's turn around and go back. And they're always full of talc. And I said, no, I know Sunderman is the name. And so we just kept going and going. And then I realized we finally got to Heather's house, and I said, that was the back road. It takes a lot longer, but that was the back way. It seemed longer maybe because we didn't know where we were going. So.
Is that Heather Third?
Yeah. She's a real sweet kid. She came in to see me yesterday. She went to work, and she just said, guys, I can't do it. Because we started there at the same time. She tried to get on at my dad's post office and work, but Eugene hired her first. And she's real sweet. And we got kind of close because we started the same day, 2 subs in a new city. And so.
When did you start there?
I started in Eugene about 7 or 8 weeks ago. And then an opening came up in Cottage Grove, which is a real...
Oh, Allie. Yeah. You need to be here the night that I do the 2021. So I'm gonna play her interrogation tapes tonight, and then we'll play a few more. I got a couple of interviews that I want you guys to hear, and then tomorrow night we'll do the 2021. It's a long one, so I have to break it up into a couple of parts because it's a really long hearing, but you can't not hear all of it. You have to hear every single bit of it. All right, this one's almost done, and then we'll play the second one.
Small town, you get a lot more experience. You get to cover a lot more area, clerk work, carrier work, and 204B work, which is a supervisor.
All right, give me just a second. I'm getting the other one. All right, here we go. Oh, wait, let me fix it. Hold on. Sorry, you guys.
Okay, well, for the purpose of this tape, apparently the tape recorder had stopped and we weren't aware of it for how long? 10 minutes or so?
I would let you say 10 minutes.
Well, anyhow, we had been discussing quite a bit, and the recorder was off. Okay, we were coming off Sunderman Road, and you turned right, which would be taking like northeast direction, or northeasterly direction, toward Marcola, but you didn't go clear to Marcola.
Right.
I think that's what you're saying.
I went up to where the front side or the back side, you call it, of Sunderman Road is,
yes.
Right up there by the bridge, and that's it. And then we came back down.
Okay.
And
I'd asked you how fast you usually drive that, and you were
usually
saying
go about
really
35
slow.
or so. Yeah.
People honking.
No, there was hardly
Okay.
anybody out on the road.
I mean, when you drive like that, is that how you usually drive out to that area?
Well, we haven't been out to that area the kids and I have never been out in that area, ever. But whenever we do our driving, it's that slow. And no, there's hardly ever anybody. We usually go in the evening because that's the quietest time of the day for us. We've already had our supper, and the kids are being wound down from school and stuff like that. So that's usually we go out towards the evening and do our driving, and nobody's ever out. Everybody's at home eating.
You mentioned about, you just said you'd never been out in that area ever.
Except that my dad took me about 2 weeks after I got here. He took me up Marcola to, I don't know wherever that is up there, and it crosses over, but anyway, somehow we got on Deerhorn Road, and we came back down Deerhorn.
But But you'd been out to the Florids before.
Right. I've been out to Heather's
A
house.
couple of times.
Yeah, the first night I was here, we went out to Heather's. I took her home. My dad showed me how to get there, and it was at night. And I didn't remember it very well, but I
How did
remember.
you meet her?
We started. Whenever you start in a post office, you have to go. Excuse.
Well, Oz, you are very welcome. I'm glad that you're here. And yeah, it's time. Diane Downs needs, before people like start to think, she's like, she's 70 years old. What could she possibly? No, no, no. She's absolutely still a danger to society. Everybody, children, anything living, humans, animals. She's an absolute danger to anybody.
You have to go through training,
Oh.
and
She's with the post office department.
yeah,
Oh.
she's a carrier also. And we started the same day. We were in the same training class. We were the only two people in the training class. So that's how I met her.
All right. And what else were we talking about that didn't get on the tape?
Mostly about Nick.
No, you'd made a phone call and
Yeah,
talked with
Karen.
Karen. Okay.
Karen,
That's how
which is
they
the girl.
find out.
Right. I was saying how I didn't want Nick to find out about this because Nick is the type of a person that doesn't like hassles. I explained to you how I had viral meningitis at the first of the year and he turned his back on me. And I don't really think it was so much the illness as the fact that it was a kink. It was something that he had to deal with and he didn't want to. He likes a nice, smooth life. He likes women to take care of him and cater to him, and he just sits back. All he has to do is work.
Is that what you did?
And yeah, but so does his wife.
Oh.
But so he's got it made either way. But he enjoyed being with me more. We had a lot more things to do that were fun. There were just ways that I made him happier than she did, and so that's why he felt a stronger attraction to me. But with me being out of the state, the attraction, if he wanted to have just a little bit better, he's got it fine with his wife. They don't get along all the time, but basically they do. But if he wants the stronger attraction with me, he had to move to Oregon, and he didn't want to. So anyway, that was a kink. But I was saying that I didn't want to tell him about this incident because I knew it would scare him off for good. And I didn't want that. I don't know what I had hoped, I guess.
I didn't want to tell him about this incident. Bitch, are you high? Your daughter is dead. Your other children, your youngest child, 3-year-old, Danny was 3 years old when this happened, is paralyzed from the waist down. Christie had a stroke. She had to relearn to do everything. The incident. Hey, Carolina, good to see you. Oh, I hate her. I just hate her. The incident.
You'd never find out or something, but how do you not find out when somebody died? But I guess I just didn't want to face him with it. I just didn't want to talk to him about it yet. But I called to talk to some friends about old times and old things and just get your mind off of all the stuff that's happening here. And I talked to Karen. I tried to talk to Chuck, but Chuck was already out on the street, so I talked to Karen, and she said that I should talk to Nick. And I said I didn't know, and then she said, well, he's right here, and so she went and got him and told him that I'd been shot and the kids had been shot. And so he came and talked to me, and he said, well, Diane, you sure did it this time. And I said, what do you mean? And he said, I told you never to stop for anybody on the road. And I said, yeah, I know. What do you do now, you know? And he says, well, I bet you never do it again. And I said, you're right, I won't. And there was no real consolation there. He did say, take care of yourself. But he also said, don't come back here, I don't want to see you. And it just really crushed me because what I really needed was a hand to just hold me and make me feel like everything's not as bad as it is. There was a time once when I was sick and he taught me how to make a hot toddy. I mean, that's as close as he got, but at least he extended a hand. And this time he didn't even do that. I don't know, it just was not good. And I knew it wouldn't be because Nick doesn't like kinks. He doesn't like wrinkles in the work. So this morning he was talking to Barbara. I called Barbara this morning to talk to her. And yes.
Barbara.
She's the lady at the carrier bar. She hands out accountables to the carriers. They have to take out postage dues and stuff like that. Yeah.
Okay.
I called her and talked to her because I had just been talking to Barbara about an hour or two before we took off. I was telling her how great things were and how the kids and I were going to the park and the river and the beach, and the kids they found some sand dollars and a crab claw and all kinds of stuff. You know, I'm telling her how great things were. And she said it sounds like things are neat. She's ready for a move and all that stuff. And so anyway, I just needed to talk to her again, just to see if she knew what had happened. And so I called her this morning, and she said that Nick came up to the carrier bar, and she said, well, I suppose you heard what happened to Diane. And he said, yeah, I did. And it sounded kind of harsh to her, and so she looked at him like, and she said, well, doesn't it bother you? And he says, I don't know, Barb. I just hope I'm wrong, but I think she did it. And she says, my jaw just dropped down the floor. Couldn't believe he said that. And she says, don't you know how much Diane loves those kids?
Yeah, but she loved Mr. Knickerbocker more. She did. She loved him more, and that's the fact. It's disgusting. It's sad. It's heartbreaking. But it's the truth. It's the truth. And Robert Knickerbocker had her pegged from day one. He knew. He knew. He knew.
He goes, yeah, but she loves me too, as if he thought that if I killed the kids, I'd get him or something, which it would be the furthest thing from true, because I know how much he hates kinks. And so it devastated her, and I'm shocked. I can't believe he'd say that. And as I said before, as soon as I'm well enough, I'm going to go to Arizona, and I'm going to ask him why he would say such a thing, why he would even think such a thing.
That's what's on. You
and
see,
as I was saying also.
See, this is why her kid. This is why. Sorry, I was looking at chat. This is why the police are side-eyeing her from like day one. Okay. Night, Kelly. Thanks for being here, babe. This is why they're side-eyeing her. Her first priority, as soon as she's well enough, is to go handle the situation with Nick. Not find out what is going to be required. And it's about her as soon as I'm well enough. Your children are still in the hospital. They're hanging on. What is wrong with you? This is why. This is why they side-eyed her. So Small Town Girl says, does anyone know how her children are now? Sorry if you already talked about this. No, I haven't said anything. Well, I talked a little bit, but not anything like that. What ended up happening is the prosecutor ended up adopting her two children, Christie and Danny, who survived. Christie was 8 at the time, went through all manner of physical rehabilitation, therapy, all kinds of therapy, because it was obviously it was emotional, it was tragic, it was traumatic for her. So there's the mental health therapy that she went through, but she also had to go through, physical therapy. She had to learn to walk and talk and all of the things, because she had a stroke. She ended up testifying against her mother. But yeah, it's, yeah. Allie, watch, go look for, Small Sacrifices. It's on YouTube. You should be able to watch it. Now, it was a mini series, back in the day. I don't even know if you were born yet when it aired, but, so it's like it's in several parts. I'll see if I can find it for you guys. Hold on.
The only thing I can imagine is that he went home and told his wife what happened, and she probably said, well, it figures she's that type of a person, because she's done everything else she could to defame me, and this would just be the final piece. And maybe he is just trying to find an easy out. Maybe it's a defense mechanism for him. He has to choose between her and me. He loves us both equally. And right now it's easier for him to stay with her because she's right there in the state. But he also can't deny the fact that he loves me. He never could. When I talked to him the other day, something was said about, he had tears in his eyes. Oh, I know, it was when I saw him. I said, you can't tell me you don't love me, Nick. He says, no, I can't. And he does, and he couldn't deny that love. So maybe this is his way, his subconscious way of saying, hey, I don't love you anymore, and trying to live with it. Maybe if he thinks that I'm really as ugly as everybody is saying that I am, it's easier for him to accept that, and then he doesn't have to make a decision. So I don't know. I don't understand him totally. I used to. I don't anymore. I guess I don't understand him because I can't understand how he could think that of me, because
She has more to say about this dude than she does about her own children. Yes. Yes, small town girl. Yeah. It's called Small Sacrifices with Farrah Fawcett. Yep, but that's the one. It's on YouTube, you guys. All you got to do is look it up.
like I said, think of me as I am, not as people say I am. And
You think he's influenced by
Charlene?
more than one person?
Oh, yeah.
Really?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Laura. Laura's a clerk, and she despises me. Laura was, I don't know. Laura and I we got along fine as long as I was doing what Laura wanted. But if I did anything, like I said, I'm an independent, outspoken person. I'll say what I want when I want.
I was going to say
And
that
I
would
don't-
be like meeting fire with fire.
Right.
That's what it sounds like to me.
Exactly. So we locked horns a lot. Only Laura had a wicked tongue, and I wouldn't. I would not spread evil gossip about anybody, because that's as bad as stabbing somebody in the back. Whatever you do to their character while they're living is worse than killing them.
Oh my
But
God.
she had no qualms about it.
No, Diane. Killing people is the worst thing that you can do, especially if they're your children. Fucking ridiculous.
And I get along with guys just fine. There are very few guys that I truly respect, totally. But I do like guys, and I get along with them. I like girls, I get along with them. But nobody makes a big deal about the fact that you have female friends. So if you have male friends, that's all bad. Well, I had a male friend that was married, and his wife didn't like the fact that he and I would talk. Even though we were working together, she hated it. And she was a friend of Laura's, and Laura decided that this guy and I were having a real heavy-duty affair, which was not the case at all. And so she spread it around the whole post office that Diane is a real whore. People like to believe the worst of anybody. And because Mike and I did talk together, and we'd go out with the guys for a drink after work sometimes and stuff like that, it must have been true to everybody. And so Laura has a way of spreading that gossip around, and it's very sad. And I lived with it. I lived with it for, 2 years I was in Chandler. And I laughed it off, or sloughed it off, or yelled it off. One day, this thing about this one specific guy, I went into work and they were giving me hell about it, and I said, all right, you guys, God damn it, I am not having an affair. I am not sleeping with anybody, and you guys just lay off this person, leave him alone, and quit telling his wife that he's doing all this stuff. It's driving her crazy. And Laura goes, I didn't say anything about that, Diane. I said, I don't care what the hell you're going to tell me. I'll just shut the fuck up. I really yelled at her, and there were about a dozen guys in the office at the time, and they heard all that. And after that, everything straightened up, because they finally heard from the horse's mouth that it wasn't true. They weren't hearing the gossip anymore. They were hearing the facts.
A lot of gossip around lots of offices.
I know. It is. It's true. It's like a big family.
It's a waste of time.
It is. And it's very dehumanizing. It's not only bad on the people that are being gossiped about, it's bad for the people doing the gossip, because it's a sickness and it gets worse and worse and worse. So I won't do it myself, but Laura is real good at it. And
Oh my God, Diane. Nobody cares about Laura. Why are you talking shit about Laura? Even if she was a gossip, and even if she was a lying liar face who tells, who just gossiped, right? And spread wicked lies about you, you're still a murderer. You killed one of your children, and you tried to kill the other two. Shut up. We don't care about Laura. She's not the worst person in the room.
Oh my God, who the hell cares?
This is what she's focused on. This is what she thinks is helpful information to finding the man who's running amok, flagging down people, women, right? And then tried to steal her car, shot her, and shot her 2 kids, killing one of them. Shut up, Diane.
I think I asked you for Nick, and you said his name was...
Robert Knickerbocker.
Knickerbocker.
Terrible name.
When's the last time you go back to see him?
About 3 weeks ago. I think it was, 3 weeks ago.
Okay. Did you... what was that meeting like? I mean, was it pretty volatile or...
No.
Good meeting?
It was real nice. I went out to see him. See, I had been talking to my supervisor. Nick and I were the best carriers in the office. We were fast, we were good, and we were efficient. And he could send us out to do our whole route and then come back in and go out and do a half of another route and expect the same performance. We could be out on the street. Yeah.
No, Kimberly, she didn't try to blame it on a man of color. That would be Susan Smith.
We'd be out on the street for 6 hours and we'd be doing just great. And so Nick and I were his favorites, his pets. Well, I transferred. Gammy couldn't stop that. But when Nick said he was going to transfer, Gammy said he'd fight that. He's not going to lose both of us. And so after I left, Gammy started telling Nick, no, you got to stay, you got to stay, you got to stay. And so whenever Nick all of a sudden did an about face and decided he was going to stay, I called Gammy, who knew us better than anybody, pretty well. He knew Nick as well as anybody. I called and asked him what was wrong. He goes, Nick doesn't like you anymore. He really doesn't want to talk to you. He doesn't want to hear from you. He really doesn't care, etc., etc. I'm going, how can a person that we've been together for a year, how can all of a sudden in a week he decide no, and he doesn't want to see me, and he's afraid I'm going to come back to town, etc., etc. What's going on? So, and his wife had been calling and harassing me. She called my parents, tried to tell my mother what a whore I was. That Charlene.
Okay, look here now. How is his wife harassing you? You're sleeping with her husband, ma'am. Yes, anaphylaxis. Diane Downs blamed a bushy-haired man. Yeah. She's harassing you. And called you a whore. Oh, no. Shut up, Diane. All right, here we go.
His wife, his next wife. She would write to me and tell me all these... Basically, what she was saying to me about me wasn't so bad. Like I said, I can live with that. I didn't like what she was saying about him. And so, anyway, Gammy was saying terrible things. Charlene was saying terrible things. And so I decided to go back and find out from Nick.
Cam or Diane, 310 window, please. What
was true and what wasn't true. Yeah, that's
still going?
It's still going.
Okay.
So I went back out there and I borrowed Chuck's car. Chuck is a sweetie and he's a real good friend of mine. And I called him up that morning. I said, hey, Chuck, can I use your car? And he goes, where are you? And I said, I'm in town. Can I use your car today? And he goes, sure. Keys are in the ashtray. Take it. And so I did. And I went out on the street. And first I went and I saw Chuck. And he gave me a big hug and a kiss and said, boy, I miss you, Diane. I wish you'd never left. And I said, yeah, me too sometimes. And then I went...
Why did you leave, by the way?
Okay. I left because my parents have been trying to get me to transfer up here for 2 years because of the grandkids. And I've been putting it off and putting it off because of Nick. Nick and I have been together for a year. And for the first year, I was pregnant with a surrogate baby. And as I said, my parents, they don't really like it. And so I didn't want to bring it here and defame them in the community because they thought badly of it. And so I stayed there for 2 years. They really only tried for the past year, I guess, to get me to move up there. But I was with Nick and I didn't want to leave. Well, I could see Nick. He would come and be with me and he wanted to be with me. And then the guilt would override him and his wife's nagging and her perplexed questions on Nick, I don't understand what's happened to us, etc., etc., the guilt would just flood in on him and he'd go back to her. And then he'd come and tell me, no, Diane, we can't keep this arrangement anymore because it's driving me crazy. And I'd cry and I'd say, fine, whatever. And within a week he'd be right back because he really enjoyed being with me. We really were a good team. We worked good together. We laughed together. We could do anything together and it complemented each other. We were just made for each other. And he couldn't fight that. And he loved me and he couldn't fight that. but he would always be overridden with the guilt about her, too. He says, one day he said, at night when I go home, he and his wife used to sit at the kitchen table and talk. He goes, I can't even sit and talk to her anymore because I see you instead of her. And he says, I just can't do it. When I lay down at night in bed, I think about you instead of her. And I can't keep doing that. And so...
He told you this just...
No, this was a long time ago. A long time ago. And that's why I say it's a pattern. He would stay with me. He'd want to be with me, but he would stay with her out of obligation. And she would say something ugly about me. She finally found out what was going on, and she'd say something ugly about me, and he'd jump right to it. That does make sense. That's why he said that. He'd jump right up and believe her, because he says, she'd never lied to me before. Why would she lie to me? And then it would turn out I could prove to him that it wasn't true, whatever she'd said. And he would say, oh, okay. And just different, I can't think of any specific instances right now, but different little things like that. She would, like, okay, one time she said I called and hung up on her. And Nick says, where were you last night at 4:30? And I said, I was driving from here to Phoenix. And he says, why? And I told him why. And he says, oh, why? And he says, because Charlene got a hang-up phone call. And she says, it was you, and I just wanted to make sure it wasn't. But he believed her until I could prove to him that I was on the road. How the heck am I going to call? So it's just things like that. He's too ready to believe the worst. Like, typical, I guess. I never thought that of him. I never thought of him as a typical person, but I guess in a way he is. But he doesn't like kinks, like I said, and if I'm calling and harassing Charlie, he doesn't like that. But anyway, so he was caught between doing what he wanted to do and what he felt that he needed to do. So this last time he moved out of his place, he was living in an apartment. He and I were getting along just fine. And then Charlene did something, and it just screwed him up real good. And he said, that's it, I'm taking off for Texas. They came from Texas. I'm going to go think for a while. And he took off for 2 weeks. He didn't tell me he was leaving or anything. And I was pretty much staying with him at the time. And he had been promising to make me popcorn and stuff like that, which he never got around to making the popcorn, because I'd stay with my kids in the evening. After they would go to sleep and my sister would come home, I'd go on over to Nick's. So it was usually late enough that it was too late to make popcorn and sit and eat in the middle of the night. You know? So anyway, he took off for Texas at this time. He was gone for 2 weeks.
Diane, stop playing with these people. These cops know the score. Come on, you know the score. You were a booty call. That's it. That's all. You were hung up on some dude that didn't have, one time between the sheets. And then you got too clingy. And then you wanted a relationship and all the things. So, I got your question, but I've been sitting here pondering it. I think I don't like these handles. I think it's Tiffany that asked this. But I think when she used the word it, I think that she meant the situation being a surrogate. I don't think that she was that was my interpretation. That's how I okay, good. See, sometimes I gaslight myself and I don't think my memory is good. Hey, Cuff, good to see you. Hey, Anaphylaxis, if I haven't said hi to you. But yeah, I think that she was, the way that I took her thing was that, what she said was that it was the situation of her being a surrogate mother. Oh, that's a bummer. I'm sorry you can't fix your handle. Maybe some chats have already gone back to just the regular YouTube names, and I'm hoping that maybe the more often I go live, that by the end of this week, it'll be back to how it was, because no me gusta. All right, here we go.
During that 2 weeks, Eugene Oregon called and said, hey, do you want to transfer to Eugene? I said, yes. And the reason I took the transfer was because I couldn't stand to watch him go crazy forever. He would have forever gone back and forth between her and me, and it never would have resolved anything. I would have been his mistress forever and ever. And I don't like that. I'm better than that. I deserve better than that. I deserve as much as anybody else. And so I couldn't stand there and watch that anymore, because he'd get real bad headaches. It was just bad on him. And so when he came back, I was supposed to leave in about 2.5 weeks, and he came in 3 weeks, and he came back from his trip, and I said, Nick, I'm leaving. I explained to him that I was leaving, and he says, okay, that's fine. He's hard-headed as can be, and I still love that about him, but he's bullheaded, stubborn, male pride, chauvinist, if you want to call it, but I still love him.
Girl, bye. You know what? Stop it. Stop it. You know what? You know he told you go on and go because you know what? He didn't care. He wanted you to go. You were annoying. You were a bugaboo. You were way too clingy. They never leave their wives. Every woman knows this. Stop playing.
And he says, fine, Diane, maybe it's best that way. And that isn't what I wanted to hear, but I expected it of him. And I says, but I do want you to have some pictures that were taken, some professional pictures. Did you see the pictures on my TV?
Yes.
The pictures of me. And the pictures of Nick. The pictures of Nick on the TV is the man. That's Nick.
That's who that is.
Yeah.
We were wondering.
Yeah. Of course, who else would it be? So anyway, I wanted him to have those pictures of me because I was going to be gone. And he saves pictures of, he's not a flip person. If he loves somebody, he loves them, and that's it. He doesn't just sleep with anybody. And so I wanted him to have pictures because he had pictures of every girl that he'd ever really been close to. And so I gave him pictures.
Oh, my God.
And
so basically what you're telling us, Diane, is that he's a virtuous, good, kind, virtuous cheater. Fuck off. I don't know if she's worse than Letitia Boho. I think they exhibit similar traits. I think they both, and let me just say this before I say what I'm about to say. Let me just put in the disclaimer here. I am not a licensed, trained professional. I am not qualified to diagnose anybody. This is just my opinion for conversation. I don't like to say for entertainment. I don't feel like I'm entertaining y'all. But we're gonna hear it, Tess. We're gonna hear it. He recorded a phone call with her. But anyway, I think that they both suffer from, I think there's a lot of cluster B personality disorder happening between Letitia and Diane Downs here. I think that they are equally evil. I think they're just evil in different ways. That's what I think. Oh, we're going to hear it, Tess. We are going to hear it, babe. I've been wanting to do a deep dive on Diane for a long time, so we're going to do it.
he took them and he said, okay, fine. Then the next day after work, he said, Diane, I want you to come over to the apartment for a while. And I said, why? And he goes, because I want you to take some rain gear. It rains a lot in Oregon, and I had no rain gear. I was from Arizona. I'd only been a carrier for 2 years, and he was from Texas, where it rains a lot.
Does it rain a lot in Oregon?
Yeah.
Okay, first of all, it rains in Arizona. Stop playing with these people, okay? They have the monsoon season. Stop playing. Does it rain as much in Arizona as it does in Oregon? No. Rain gear. Give me a break. What a load of crap.
I'm finding out that it does just a little bit more than Arizona, but it's a nice rain. It really is. So he says, I want you to come get some rain gear. I don't need it here in Arizona, and you just come and get it and take it with you. And I said, okay, fine. So I went to his apartment, and he ended up teasing me. And I said, Nick, please don't tease me. So we ended up fooling around. And then I looked at him later, and I said, why did you do that? And he goes, because I was teasing, and it wasn't fair.
All right, let me tell you what had happened. This is just my opinion. I have a feeling that Diane showed up at the apartment and played the old one last time, game. That's what I think.
So we ended up fooling around, and then the next day, it was the next day, after work, he was just fine. He was just the same old Nick. We were still buddies at work, still real close, but there was no real intimacy. We were just... But that's what I really loved about us. We didn't have to ever really fool around. There was just an intimate closeness that a lot of people never have. And I'll never forget that, and I'll never regret the fact that I had a relationship with him because of that. He made me feel special no matter what. So anyway, there was still that closeness between us, and he couldn't take it away, and he couldn't deny it. And that night, it was on a Wednesday, he called me up about 9 o'clock, and he goes, "Diane, do you still want that popcorn?" I went, "Yeah, where are you?" And he says, "I'm..."
Remembers every single detail about the last time, right? Can't remember shit about the person who shot her and her children. Get out of here, Diane.
At the apartment, come on over. Well, up until then, he'd been back at Charlene's house. So I went over there, and I was sitting on the bed. It was just a one-room apartment type thing. I was sitting on the bed, and he was walking around straightening stuff up and dusting because he hadn't been back there since he had gone to her house. And he's super clean. I mean, the man irons his Levi's. He's immaculate. And he was walking around, and I said, I kept biting my tongue, and I said, "Nick, I am dying to find out what is going on." And he goes, "Nothing. I haven't been drinking. I haven't been smoking. Charlene and I haven't had a fight. I'm just not happy there. I'm not comfortable with her. I want to be with you." And I said, "Fine." And so from that point on, he said, "I want you to move in with me and stay here, at least till you have to leave." And I said, "Okay." And then as the 2.5 weeks progressed, I fly, and I was taking flying lessons at the time, and I soloed before I left. And I was doing all kinds of stuff. He was doing all kinds of stuff. He went out flying with me one time, and he got to pilot the plane, and we just had so much fun. We'd go out with our friends and have our farewell parties and stuff, and it was so good. We were so happy. Once I was cooking supper, and he started big old tears got in his eyes. And I went over and I kneeled down and I said, "What's the matter?" And he says, "It just makes me so sad when I think of you leaving." I mean, there were so many promises that were made, so many dreams that were planned. And he says, "I want you to ask the postmaster to let you stay." And I said, "Okay." And he had this gold chain that he's been married twice. That's another reason he hesitates to get divorced again, because he's already been divorced once, and he's afraid third try you're out, you know. He worries about it, because he is a person that likes to be cared for the rest of his life, and I guess Charlene had convinced him that I was unstable, and yeah, it all makes sense. God, of course Charlene says I did this. That makes me even more unstable, then Nick really wouldn't trust me. Anyway, all this comes together as I talk. I'm sorry, things in my mind come out. So.
That's fine.
Yeah.
Okay, so
And here's the thing: they're gonna let her keep talking, because I mean, put yourselves in these officers' shoes, right? These detectives' shoes. You're coming in to get on record what happened the night that she and her children were shot, and now one of her youngest daughter, Cheryl, has not survived, and her 2 other children are fighting for their lives. At this point, at this point in time, right? They don't know what the future holds for Danny or for Christie, right? And they're coming in, and that's what they're there to talk about. And she's talking about anything and everything but that. This narrative is like 11 billion times longer than any narrative than what she said happened that night. This whole tape is about Mr. Knickerbocker, her son. This is an entire tape. That's what we started with. We're 24 minutes, 11 seconds in. The tape is 29 minutes. It's all been about him. But, yes. Anaphylaxis, I agree with you. But they're going to let her talk because they want to hear first of all, I like this interrogation style. Let the person speak. Don't give them a bunch of, let her, because she clearly wants to get her quote unquote story out, right? Let her get her story out. Let her. There'll be time to clean up the details. later to go and ask, follow-up questions. But right now, just let her talk. And good night, Coffee and Skeletons. Thanks for being here. Sweet dreams, babe. So Boho says, I've been saying for a couple years now that my mom would have loved you. She studied this case in real time. Yesterday was my mom's birthday. Thank you. Oh, you're welcome. Thank you. Happy birthday in heaven to your mom. My mom was fascinated with this case as well. Let me look. Okay, so she was born in 1955. And this happened in 1983. She was in her late 20s, I think, when this happened. Hold on, let me bust out the calculator. Y'all know I can't do that type of math just in my brains. She was 28 years old when this happened. So, yeah. You do want, and I agree, like I said, Anaphlexus, I agree. You want them to do this. Let her speak. Let's hear all the crazy that's about to come out of her mouth uninterrupted.
He had this chain that he got from his first wife. She bought it for him, and she was a real bitch. And he got real mad at her one time and ripped it off and threw it at her because she would always throw it up and say, well, look what I did for you. I bought that chain. It was $150 or $200 or whatever. And look what I've done for you, and you're doing nothing for me, et cetera, you know. Yeah, that's exactly what he thought.
Big deal.
Big deal. So he ripped it off and threw it at her and didn't put it on until he was getting his divorce. And then he put it on, and he's worn it ever since. Well, he and Charlene had a real big fight a few months ago, and she ripped it off, gouged a big hole in his neck, and broke it. And that's the second time it's been off in his life. And she went and got it fixed and apologized and everything, and he put it back on. He's the only person that's ever worn that chain. It's only been off those 2 times. And when I was there at the apartment one night, I wear 2 gold chains with a diamond on it. And he goes, take that shit off your neck. And I went, what? My gold and diamond? He says, yeah, take it off. And I took it off, and I said, all right, why? And he goes, because you're going to wear this. You're Nick's woman. And I said, okay. And he took his chain off, and he put it around my neck. And if that isn't love, I mean, the chain that's never been off his neck except in 2 heated battles, there's nothing. There's so many promises and so many deep feelings.
Okay, Diane, that is not love. I think it's something that you completely made up in your own brain. I don't even think this actually even happened. If you want to know that's my honest opinion.
I know he really cared.
Did he take that back, or?
No. He did ask if I would send it back. And I said, I can't take it off, because he told me, don't you ever take that off. When I went back to Chandler this last time to see him, that's what we were leading up to, his attitude. When I went back to Chandler this last time to see him, one of the purposes was to find out who was lying. Was Gammy and Charlene lying, or was my heart lying? Was all the things that Nick and I did together, all the happiness that we had, was that all just a lie, or does he really love me? And maybe he's trapped there for a reason. Like I said, Charlene's family has money. Maybe he's afraid of being stuck. I don't know. He has admitted that. He says, what if they stick me with all the bills and you get nothing? What if she gets a huge amount of alimony and we've got nothing, and stuff like that? He's afraid of money and power, and her family definitely has that. And so...
But you will notice, in all of this yammering about how much Nick loves her, how much she loves Nick, it's true love, it's meant to be, blah, 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 right? All the promises, all the plans, right? Never once does she mention the plans that include the children. Not once. Not once.
I had to know for myself who was lying, Gammy and Charlene or my heart. And so I went back there and I saw Nick. And I just walked up and I said, hello, Nicky, how have you been? And he said, fine. What are you doing here, Diane? And I said, I just talked to him. And I said, this chain is not my chain. I don't care if it's $500 worth of gold or not. It doesn't mean a damn thing except the love that you put around my neck. And
everybody, I'm going to rewind this part because this part is interesting to me because this is almost, it might even actually be exactly word for word a scene out of Small Sacrifices. Now, I should mention, if you weren't in here earlier when I mentioned this before, that the name Robert Knickerbocker, his name was changed in the Small Sacrifices movie. He was named Lou. Okay. But this speech is, I think, might be exactly word for word how it played in the movie, which I always thought was interesting.
Not my chain. I don't care if it's $500 worth of gold or not. It doesn't mean a damn thing except the love that you put around my neck. And it's not mine. It's not mine to keep. And if you don't want me to be Nick's woman anymore, then I shouldn't have it. And I said, I want you to have it back. And I tried to take it off and I still couldn't. I said, I just can't do it. Will you please unhook it? So he did declasp, and then I took it out of his hand and I said, I'm going to do the same thing to you that you did to me. I took it out of his hand, I put it on his neck, and I said, you wear this because I love you. And we talked, and he wrote to me. He's only written to me once when I first got here, before Charlene started lying. And he wrote me a neat letter. He says, what we had was so special. We never even had to fool around. There was just something between us that was so good, and I can't wait till I'm there and we can do it again. Something along those lines. But he was saying how special everything was. And I said, with that letter, you can't tell me you don't love me, Nick. He goes, no, I can't. But it can't be, Diane. You're over there and I'm over here. He says, the only way we could be back together is if it was the way it was before. And no, he said, no, I said, you're my very best friend. And he goes, no, it can't be. And I said, why? And he says, it can either be the way it was before or not at all. And I says, don't use a slip of the tongue. Don't tell me I can move back to Arizona and everything will be like it was before if you don't mean it. And then he caught himself and he looked and he says, no, it can't. Don't come back to Arizona. So it was all I needed to know was that he loved me. I don't want to possess him. I love sharing my life with him, and there were so many promises that were made, but I don't want to possess him. All I wanted to know is that he loved me and that our love wasn't a hoax. He wasn't just playing me on. Because that would just devastate me, because he's the only man I've ever truly respected 100% and never doubted once. And that would just kill me if he did, and he didn't. And that's all I needed. And I went home and I was so happy, and I told my parents, Nick loves me. Whether he's here or not, it doesn't matter. He loves me, and that's all I needed to know. And my mom says, you really shouldn't worry about it. Nick is a smart man. They really like him. And my mom said, Nick is a smart man. For all you know, he's getting a divorce right now, and he's making your name finally look good for the first time in that post office. Everybody said the reason he and Charlene weren't getting along was because of me. Well, it just so happens he and Charlene weren't getting along for 2 years before he even met me. Had nothing to do with me. You can't ruin a good marriage. And
Fruit Fly said, did Nick keep in contact with her when she was in prison? No, not that I'm aware of. I've never heard that. I've never heard anything about that. I'm pretty sure that he never wanted to have anything to do with her, really, when she, and after she moved from Arizona to Oregon, but she kept popping up like a bad penny.
so my mom says, just play it cool and let it go. And now it's this. It'll never happen. Never.
Let's check that.
So far, so good.
Yeah, it's still going. Well, we've just about run out here.
Told you I'm
And
windy. I'm sorry.
I think we ought to take
A break?
a little break. I've got to walk down the hall, and you probably might like to do the same thing. We'll leave you here for a little while. See, the time is 15:25 hours. Turn this thing off and go on.
All right, so there's that one. All right, now one last one, and we will hold on, let me close this. So Robert Knickerbocker recorded Diane, conversations with him and Diane. All right, so I'll show them to. We'll play one, and then we'll just play the rest of it, the rest of these tomorrow. Sound like a plan? All right, because I'm getting tired. It's late here. All right, here we go. And let me just say, hold on a second. Hold on. Let me look at something really quick so I can tell you when this is. Dang it. Come on, Jen. All right, hold on a minute. This was July 2nd, 1983. Let me rewind it so you guys can hear it from the beginning. All right, let me fix this. All right.
Prosecutors Post Office.
Yes, may I speak to Diane Downs, please?
She is not here.
She's not there. Can I leave a message?
She won't be here till Thursday.
Oh, okay. Well, I'll leave the message anyway.
Okay.
Okay. Would you tell her that Nick Knickerbocker called?
N-I-C...
K-N-I-C...
Oh, I'm sorry. Okay.
K-N-I-C-K-E-R...
Okay.
D-O-C-K-E-R.
Okay.
And I'm in Chandler, Arizona, and I'd like to talk to her. So in case she calls, before Thursday, I'd like you to give her that message, please.
Okay. She has your number and everything?
Yes, she knows how to
Okay.
get in touch with me.
All right. I'll get the message to her.
Okay, thank you, ma'am.
You're welcome.
Bye-bye.
Bye. Hello?
Diane?
Yes?
Hello.
Hello?
I had a couple questions I wanted to ask you.
All right.
Okay. What have you...
I called you at the post office. I didn't know how else to get a hold of you.
Well, that's why I figured you'd call. That's the only place you could call.
All right.
Listen, what have you told the police about me?
Nothing?
Well, you must have told them something, because, I got to have an alibi for that night.
No, you don't.
Yeah, I do. They already told me.
They're bluffing. They tried that with some of my friends here, too. You worked the day before and you worked the day after, right?
Yeah.
There's no possible way you could have been here.
Well, I know that.
That's all you need.
Well, they don't think so, Diane. And I don't, I already had to talk to them once, and now they're back again, and they're talking
You're in
about...
Arizona right now?
Well, I guess they called me. I'm supposed to go see them on Tuesday and take a lie detector test.
Don't do it.
Well, I got nothing to hide.
I know you have nothing to hide. It's a matter of principle.
Well, I don't like the cops bothering me, Diane.
I know. They're trying to pin this on me, and I didn't do it. And, I don't know, there's a whole lot of stuff up in the air right now. I can prove that I didn't do it. That's why they're trying to pin it on somebody else. They're so sure that I was part of it that they're going to try to pin it on somebody else. They're bluffing.
Well, they're certainly not going to pin it on me.
I know you didn't do it. And you don't have to take a lie detector. They can ask you, you can refuse, and there's no way they can make you take one. I've talked to my attorney about that. They asked another friend of mine here to do it. They accused us of having an affair, this friend of mine and me. And he was on a fishing trip when I got shot. And they were suggesting that he was the one that shot me. And he said, no, I was on a fishing trip. And he had 3 witnesses to prove it, and they still wanted him to take a lie detector. And he said, no, I won't do it. I don't have to prove to you that I was on a fishing trip. And you don't have to prove anything either. They will try to ask a lot of things of you that are absolutely useless and senseless. They'll try to drag you through the mud. They're going to try to make you look like a creep. They're going to try to make me look like a creep. And they're bluffing. I wish you had not... It's been 6 weeks now, and I wish you knew what I was going through, and then you'd understand what I'm saying, and you'd trust me. Don't take the lie detector because you're giving in to them.
Well, I got nothing to hide, Diane.
You neither does anybody else.
Well, so I might as well take it. Just get it over with. That clears me.
You may if you want. I'm glad you called. I need somebody to talk to. I was thinking about you real bad last night. Just needed somebody to talk to again. But how's everything?
Nothing changed.
That's good. Things have changed a lot for me.
Yeah, I can imagine so.
I have a steel plate in my arm.
Well, nothing I can do about that.
Oh, I know. The scar won't be very bad. It'll probably be going away already. I get to go back to work next week. Christie's in a foster home. The state won't give her back. I haven't seen her for over 2 weeks. And I haven't seen Danny in almost 2 weeks. I haven't seen him either. So, needless to say, I'm going to be suing the hell out of everybody.
You're going to be doing what?
Suing them.
Oh.
As in $6 million.
Okay.
Huh?
I said okay.
You're a pessimist. I'm going to win this one. They have... You wouldn't believe what it's like here. Going into the store and little kids... One little kid grabbed his friend and said, "Hey, look, there's that lady." And he says, "What?" He says, "Look, there's a lady that shot her kids." They've totally destroyed my character for something that I didn't do. I've been on TV and in the newspapers almost every single day since it happened. They continually throw suspicion on me instead of the person that really did it. They've kept my kids away from me. They interrogated Christie while she was in ICU. They killed Cheryl. Cheryl was alive when we got there. So, anyway, it's nothing big. It's just a lawsuit. One that I can win hands down. But, I'm sorry they're doing this to you. I wish there was something I could do, but I can't say anything to them to stop them from what they're doing.
Well, I just wanted to know what you know.
What did I tell them? I told them nothing about you except the truth.
Yeah, well, that's what I told them.
That's all. Told them that we were together. You were considering marrying me. Surprise, surprise. And that you were going to move to Oregon and apply for a job here. And that my dad wasn't holding a position open for you. There was merely an opening, which you had the same opportunity as anybody else to.
Okay, so instead of talking about how much she misses her kids, how awful this is, she's mad, she's indignant, and instead of saying, "Look, I know it's a hassle, but they have to clear everybody, so, just take the lie detector test. So that way they can move on quicker and get to the real killer," right? No, she doesn't do that because she's guilty.
Apply for. And then you changed your mind. And it wasn't because of me, and it wasn't because of the kids, it was because of Charlene. That's all I told him.
Okay. Well, that's basically all I wanted to know.
Well, I'm not going to say anything to him. Never mind. How's the weather?
Just like it always is in June or July or whatever the hell month it is.
You're in July now, Nick.
Okay.
It's hot.
Yeah.
How's
Not
your
bad.
jungle rot?
Nothing serious.
That's good. I intend to come out for a visit sometime when this is over. I don't know when I get my kids back. I'm trying next week to get them back again.
And Anaphylaxis points this out, which I missed. She referred to the murder as, quote, when I got shot. God, she's a piece of work, isn't she? Lord.
And then the next week, and about the next week. Right now I guess there's nothing to say except I'm lonely. I have to be real careful who I talk to and what I say and where I go.
Well, it don't look good for you, Diane. I mean,
I know it doesn't look good, but do you remember the poem that I used to give you?
Well,
If you see, remember me and bear me in your mind, let all the world say what they may speak of me as you find.
mm-hmm.
I don't care how it looks. I have physical evidence. There's no way in hell I could have done that. You want to know why? You want me to tell you why?
Why?
Because what happened was somebody shot us, which means if I had done that, there's supposed to be some kind of something on your hands, a residue of some sort.
Powder burns.
Okay, when you fire a gun, something like that, I guess. I did not have that. So they checked me, they asked me if I had washed it off. I didn't. Also, they sprayed something on the inside of my hand to see if I fired a gun or held a gun. That proved negative. I did not hold a gun. Also, that stuff doesn't wash off, from what I understand. There's no way I could have washed it off.
Right.
And even if I had done that and shot the kids and washed my hands and the whole bit, which I couldn't do because my left arm was hanging down. It was absolutely useless, just hanging there. So try to wash the back of your hand with one hand. It's impossible. It can't be done. And then I'm supposed to have disposed of a gun. I don't know how. I guess they say that I must have buried it or something. And in all this amount of time, Cheryl was shot through a main artery right by her heart. It doesn't take very long for a 7-year-old to bleed to death when she's shot in that place. And yet we all made it to the hospital, which was 15 minutes away, and we were all alive. There's absolutely no way in hell that I could have done everything they said and still made it to the hospital on time as far as disposing of the evidence, washing my hands, the whole bit. There's no way. That's why they're trying to pin it on somebody else.
You had a 22, I know that.
Yes, I did. And Steve got it back.
Steve's got it back?
Yes, he does.
Okay.
I want you to think about this because I know they're going to ask you. Do you remember when you saw that 22?
I saw that 22 at your trailer, and I saw it before you left for Oregon.
2 weeks before I left, correct?
Oh, hell, Diane. You were packing the day before you left, yeah, in the back of the car.
No, Nick, think about it. I had a microwave, and I had a TV, and I had a whole bunch of stuff. The day that you saw that 22, I opened my trunk up, and my trunk was empty, was it not?
Except for the 38 and the 22.
Exactly. But when my parents left for Oregon 1 week before I left, my mother and I put the microwave in my trunk on a Saturday, I believe.
Diane, you didn't have no damn microwave. The last week you were here in the back of your car?
Yes, I did.
Diane, I drove the car. You
I
have
know
no
you
damn
did.
microwave in it?
Yes, I did.
Okay. Whatever. You didn't have a microwave in it.
All right.
I drove the car, right?
Yes, you did.
Okay. Anyway, that's neither here nor there.
Yes, that means a lot.
Oh, it does. No, it doesn't, Diane. I mean, look, at the end of the day, you're a big old liar who tells lies. That's it. That's all.
You had the 22 the night before you left.
No, I didn't.
Okay. You had it in the back of your car in that goddamn case.
I had it in the car at least 2 weeks. It was about a week and a half before I left. I will agree with you. Steve took it back. You said you didn't want it. You remember I offered to give it to you?
Yeah.
You said you did not want it. I said
Right.
fine.
And you gave it to Steve?
Yes.
When?
A week and a half before I left.
Okay. I guess I'm blind, huh?
You're not.
Well, anyway, that's, I'm not a judge and jury. I ain't got nothing to do with this shit.
Yes, you are. Anything that you answer in that way proves See, like I said, Nick, think about it. There's no physical way I could have done it. Therefore, they're trying to pin it on somebody that I know. And if you tell them that, and it's not true, they're going to be sure that somebody knows something. You understand?
Well, I understand what I saw, Diane. I mean,
Yes,
shit.
I know, but do you recall when you saw it?
Yeah, in the back of your car.
I know for a fact.
You had to have it, otherwise you couldn't have offered it to me.
I know. I offered it a week and a half. Never mind.
I don't want to argue.
I don't either. So I'm sorry for everything that's gone down.
Well, it's just the brakes.
I know. But it's not fun. I don't know, it's unusual. Everybody knows me wherever I go.
Well, I imagine so.
And it's kind of...
Keep your ass off TV.
Huh?
Keep your ass off TV.
I have to go on TV. I have to tell them the truth because the cops won't listen.
Okay, whatever. Well, listen, I got to go. I'm catching a flight to Texas in a little bit.
Why?
Well, I'm just going down there for the weekend.
When are you supposed to take the test?
Next week sometime. I don't know. Sure, whenever they call me back, tell me to come down and do it.
Don't do it.
Diane, I'm not lying to anybody.
I know you're not, Nick. Would you listen to me and think rationally? If you were at work the day before and the day after, there's no way in hell that you could have gotten up there and done that.
Okay, so there's no reason why I shouldn't take the lie detector test.
There's no reason you should take it. And they're trying to get something out of you. I don't know what. Perhaps, you want to know what it could be?
What's that?
That maybe Charlene did it.
No, Charlene didn't do it.
Oh, for the love of Pete. You know why she doesn't want him to take the damn lie detector test? She didn't. It has nothing to do with principles or anything like that. She knows that if he goes down and talks to the cops and refuses to take a lie detector test, they're going to be giving him the side eye. They're going to be giving him the furry eyeball. And the longer the suspicion stays off of her, the better. This is not that complicated, Diane. You're not as smart as you think you are.
Oh, Nick.
She was with me
And how did they know that?
because I was at a bar that night.
Then why do you have to take the test?
Well, why not?
It's a
If
matter
I
of
say no, it
principle.
looks
They're
like
lying.
I'm trying to hide something. And I
Well,
ain't.
my friend here that they accused me of having an affair with him and that he helped me do this horrible thing. He refused to take the test and they've left him alone and now they're chasing you.
Well, they won't chase me very long. I'll just tell them what I know and that'll be over with. I don't like fooling with those people. Just get it over with and it's done. Okay, well, I got to boogie to the airport.
I miss you.
Yeah. Thank you for returning the call.
No problem.
All right. Bye-bye.
Take care of yourself.
Yep, bye-bye.
I love you.
Bye.
She said, I love you twice. And he's like, okay, bye. Gotta go. Bye. Yep. Take care of yourself too. Okay. Bye. I need to go. Bye. Like he didn't, look, he's, I don't know. To me, just knowing all the, knowing all the things and now listening to that conversation again after all these years, it, I can't move away from thinking that the whole situation with Nick really was blown completely, was something different completely in Diane's head. I think that I don't think it was I don't think he said the things that she says he did, or I don't think it was as deep for him, and I don't think he pretended otherwise. He's just not that great at pretending. I mean, you can hear it in the phone call. So, if he really wanted to get anything out of her, he probably could have. And we're going to listen to a few more of those recordings tomorrow. But for now, I'm going to let y'all go. And thank you very, very much for being here. I put the channel that has all of this stuff in the chat tonight, but I'm going to add it to the description once I end this live, so you guys can go on over there and watch all the things. She's this Diane Downs TV channel on YouTube has all manner of things related to Diane, so it's an excellent resource. But I'm going to let you go for tonight. I will see you guys tomorrow night at 9 p.m. Central, 10 Eastern, and we're going to continue the deep dive into Diane, and we'll go all the way up until her latest bid for parole in October of 2025. All right, you guys have a great night, and I'll talk to y'all later. Bye.